Going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam back at you for another Chaos to Come Back video. Not much going on today. I'm tired. Not feeling too bad, just tired. Tired. My body wants a rest from the cycling and all the abuse that I'm putting it through. Let's see, in the last video I was talking about getting a Peacock subscription. I know it's NBC, I know the Peacock is their emblem, but why don't these marketing dingbats have a 12-year-old boy on the marketing team so that they can run ideas past the 12-year-old boy to see if he starts laughing his ass off and starts text messaging his friends. Like, hey, what do you think about Peacock for name of an app? Peacock! Come on, man. You could have called it like Stream NBC, NBC it. I mean, there's probably 50 fucking names you could come up with, but we'll call it Peacock. So every time you talk about it, you were like, well, when you download the Peacock, come on. The fuck are these fucking idiots in these marketing departments coming up with this stuff? It's crazy. But I was planning on getting myself a subscription so I could watch the Tour de France. Just, why not? Be like $8 a month. Even if you get the commercial-free version, they're still going to run commercials because it's a sporting event. So get the cheapest version. I was like, yeah, I was about to do it. Always look for coupon codes for things. If you're on a website and you see like, got a coupon code on the checkout screen, always look. Just a couple of quick internet searches, I found 3 months for free of Peacock. So I got 3 months of free service to watch a 1 month long bicycle race, and I'll probably never watch the stuff again. Now they're counting on me to forget to cancel that subscription when the 3 months is up, but I'll remember, because once that race is over, I'll probably, I can watch the Tour of Spain, the Vuelta de España, when August comes around, we're at the peak of the cycling season. The Tour de France is like the Super Bowl of cycling, and it's all downhill from there, no pun intended. You've got the Tour of Italy, the Tour of France, the Tour of Spain. Those are the three big grand tours. And you got a lot of races in the early spring leading up to the Tour de France or the Tour of Italy and then the Tour de France. But a lot of the biggest racers in the Tour de France don't do a lot of the other races throughout the year. They'll do the one-day classic races like Paris-Roubaix and stuff like that because they're saving all their energy for the Tour de France. So you're probably never going to see someone win the Tour of Italy and then win the Tour de France because these long bike races destroy you. The Tour de France is the hardest sporting event in the world. It's the hardest thing to win. But ever since, Lance Armstrong cheated his way to winning the Tour 7 years in a row, it's been harder to watch. Back then, all you needed was a cable TV subscription, and they really put the Tour de France front and center on. There would always be a sports channel that has that locked. They're showing the live coverage from 5 in the morning until 11 a.m. And then if you didn't get up early enough, they're going to replay that in the afternoon, and they're going to replay that at prime time, like 7 o'clock at night, and that's going to go till almost midnight each day. OLN was one of the channels that would, I don't know what cable channels there are. I haven't had a cable TV subscription in 10, 15 years or something like that. But back then, that's how you could watch it easily. But after the whole Lance Armstrong thing collapsed and America went back to not being good at cycling, nobody really covers it anymore to any extent. Not without you having to pay to watch it, because now, now everything is a subscription. I mean, if you buy a new BMW, you have to pay a monthly subscription to use the heated seats in your car and other features that came in your car. Don't even get me started on that. But I was willing to pay $8 to have that app for a month, watch the Tour de France. That's 4 to 5 hours a day of watching a bicycle race. Kind of like, just while I'm chilling. Whenever I'm done working for the day, watch that until I pass out or until the race ends that day. But I got it for free for 3 months. Cool. I can chill and watch that. I had a pretty fast bicycle ride home. I don't know. I just figured something like, if I watch my favorite bicycle race to watch, most people think it's boring to watch. If you've ever been in a bicycle race and you used to do that shit and you understand the sport, it's fun to watch because you understand what's going on and it's different. It's not just some boring bunch of dudes riding a bike all day across the countryside. There's stuff going on. There's subtle things that you pick up on. It brings back memories of when I was young and so on and so forth. So I don't know. I remember when I was young, I'd watch the Tour de France and then I'd go balls to the wall on a bicycle ride, and my average speed would be faster than normal because I'm all like, yeah, go Greg LeMond, right? I don't know. This is probably like if you watch the Daytona 500 and then you go out and get yourself a good old-fashioned American speeding ticket, going 96 and a 55 while you're driving your Mini Cooper down the road, something like that. But anyway, so my first 11 miles home yesterday, I was averaging 17 miles an hour average, which is 2 miles an hour faster than my normal high average speed. I usually go around 15. And I was on my slower of the two bikes and I was flying 17 miles an hour average. I was hitting 30 miles an hour at some spots. There were certain stretches that I would get to and I would try to beat my best time, and I'd get like maybe a quarter into that stretch and I'd be like, no, I'm not going to beat my best time. I'm not there. But overall, I was keeping my speed up. Generally, every time I looked down, I was over 20 miles an hour. My legs were starting to burn. It was getting pretty intense. My heart rate was higher than normal. But I was just motivated to try and keep that pace. I was trying to keep that needle above the 20 mile an hour mark. And all I'm going to say, if you ride your bike a lot, you'll know it's a hell of a lot easier to bleed off your average speed as it is to add to your average speed. Once you start to drop, the average speed number goes down, 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 down really fast. And it's really hard to get it to go back up, even just 1/10 of a mile an hour. So about 11 miles into the ride, 12 and a half, 13 miles in, my pace started to fall off a little bit, and I was able to keep stretches up over 20 miles an hour. But every now and then I'd hit, undulating terrain or whatever, and I'd drop below 16. So now I'm watching all of a sudden my average is 16.9, 16.8, and it just keeps ticking down. And I'm like, fuck. And so the only thing I could do at that point, I know my best is behind me for today. All I can do is try to slow the rate of the reduction in speed. Anytime I would drop below the average for 30 seconds, it would tick down another another tenth of a mile an hour. So, I got it down to about where it was 16 miles an hour, and I'm like, that's still pretty good. I only have 1 mile to go to get home, but I was spent, and the wind direction, there really wasn't any significant wind, but it was enough airflow, and I was just spun out. I was done. That last mile, my speed dropped from 16 down to 14.8 in 1 mile, because you bleed off, your average speed will just tank fast. So fast. It was a 25-mile ride, and in 1 mile an hour, 1 mile, I lost 1 mile an hour in average speed. But for the first hour and a half, or how long was it? For the first 45 minutes, my speed was going up and up and up and up and up. It got up almost to 18 miles an hour at one point, but at the 11 mile, around the halfway mark, it was at 17. And I'm like, that's really good if I can keep that. Anyway, the analysis, my post-ride analysis, said I got my third best 30-kilometer time. My best 30-kilometer time was on the Silver Bullet, my faster bike, and it was on a day where I had a nice tailwind on the way home. I was flying. That was a really fast ride. So I didn't even get my second best 30K, but I mean, it was still a pretty good ride. But my average speed was, 15 miles an hour, the usual. And Strava estimates I was putting out between 98 and 120 watts, let's just say 100 watts of power throughout the ride. The Tour de France started yesterday. Stage 1 was yesterday. These guys, throughout the month of July, from July 5th to the 27th, 2,075 miles. I've already ridden more than that this year. I'm closing in on 3,000 miles this year. But these guys, the Tour de France racers, their average speed is about 31 to 35 miles an hour on the flats, and they're putting out 400 watts while they're pedaling their energy. So even if a Tour de France rider was on my bicycle, they would absolutely crush my time. Now, granted, the bicycles that these guys ride are like $30,000-$40,000 state-of-the-art bicycles that if I got on one of those bicycles and rode home without having to carry my backpack, every time I weigh my backpack, it's about 16 pounds. 16 pounds on my back. 2 water bottles and a speaker, or 3 water bottles or 2 water bottles or whatever. I mean, I've got some weight on my bike, and it's, the bike itself, it's a 1980, it was made in 1989, the bike I rode yesterday. So yeah, you put me on a $30,000 Tour de France race bike, and I would probably be averaging 18 to 20 miles an hour on the same ride, putting in the same amount of effort that I put in yesterday. The bicycle would probably give me that much of a speed advantage and boost overall. It's a huge difference, but the Tour de France rider on my bike would still put me to fucking shame. Tour de France racer on a Huffy would beat my ass. So, and these guys, they put in 400 watts across 4 hours, day after day after day for the entire month of July, and they get 2 days off. And on the days off, they have to ride. They have to get on their bicycles and go ride 50 to 100 miles. At least 50 miles. I really don't know how far they ride on the rest days, but you have to ride your bike on the rest day. You just don't want to. It's a strategic thing to do. You don't want to push you want your body to recover, but if you take that day off and you don't ride, you're going to wake up the next morning, you're not even going to be able to stand up on your own 2 feet because your whole body's going to stiffen up. Rigor mortis will set in. Like, your body will completely seize. You won't be able to get back on the bike and do it because you will be completely, you'll be completely destroyed. That one day off the bike will completely fuck you. So you still have to ride on the rest days. This year, the route is 100% in the country of France. It doesn't go into Belgium or Spain or any of the neighboring countries. Yesterday's stage 1 was 115 miles, ending in a sprint finish. So pretty much most of the route, well, there was a breakaway group that got off in front on the at the end of the race, but the first 30 or 40 people across the line all get the same time because they're in that first group that comes through. And there's a lot of rules now about they've tried to make the ride safer, because back in the day it mattered if you were across the line first or 10th or whatever, and people would be fighting each other and jostling for position so much that this is back in the day in the 80s, and before that you'd see these massive crashes where 75 riders go flying over their handlebars, crashing into each other because they're all jostling for position. So they've tried to change the rules to make it a little bit safer, where people aren't fighting so much for position to be like 25th place instead of 26th place. The fighting happens up at the front of the group, but they don't want all 150 people in the group jostling for one position over the other. But anyway, I mean, it's still fun to watch on TV. Today I'm watching it on and off. I hit pause to come talk to you guys and do some other things, because it's 4 to 5 hours. So I'm not going to just sit there for 5 hours straight watching it. I'll come back to it in a minute. But it's 130 miles on day 2. It's fun to watch, even though there's no American riders that have a chance in hell to win. And even if you don't, I've had people sit and watch the Tour de France with me who don't know shit about cycling and don't even like it. You get kind of mesmerized. You'll get into it just because of all the helicopter views and just the flow of everything and all the weird shit you see on the side of the road and the people and all the aerial shots of France, the churches, the architecture, all that stuff. And like I said, they're going 115, 130 miles through the country of France, and you're watching the entire race, all 5 hours. It's like taking a drive through France. You actually see, this is what France actually looks like. You know, it's not like this tourist shit where you get a brochure or you go there on a tour bus and you go driving around to all the famous places and that's all you really saw. Like, if you ride a bike in the Tour de France, you're gonna see France. You're gonna see the whole fucking place. You're gonna know what the place actually looks like and feels like, which is kind of cool. Just to see all that. It'd be just as cool. You know, you ever go on a road trip here in America and take the back roads instead of the interstates, you see what America is. You see all the towns, all the cities, all the places. And you get like a knowledge of it that you don't get from watching TV or going to the famous places and forget everything else. You know, it would be cool if there was a big American bike race that would put the Tour de France, you know, or that would be at that same level, a Tour of America. In fact, you know, our country's so big that they could do a fucking Tour of America that takes all summer to complete. Like, that would be something to rival. But that would be like trying to make a football league that rivals the NFL and becomes bigger than the Super Bowl. And nobody wants to watch the NFL anymore. Just, you know, good luck. Good luck. But yeah, I mean, the early part of the Tour de France is kind of boring usually. because there's not much going on, but there's always something cool. There's always some shit going on. There's 2 hill climbs, 3 hill climbs, small hills. There's different jerseys that they wear in the Tour de France. The yellow jersey is worn by the race leader. And then there's 3 other jerseys. One is a polka dot jersey, which is King of the Mountains. It's the best hill climber. There's a green jersey for the best sprinters, the best people who can just flat out outride everybody on flat terrain, the fastest people. But usually the sprinters suck climbing mountains, so they could never actually win the Tour de France. So they're all there competing for the green jersey. And then there's a white jersey for all the young riders. So if you're the best, Greg LeMond won that one year. He was the best young rider, and he almost won the Tour de France that year. He was like 2nd or 3rd place, and he got the white jersey, but he almost won the whole thing. So there were 2 points available, 3 points, my bad, 3 climbs, each worth 1 point in yesterday's race for the King of the Mountains jersey, which is nothing. The King of the Mountains people, they don't even give a fuck about getting any of those 3 points, because once they get into the mountains, there will be multiple hill climbs on a stage that each hill climb's worth 30, 40 points, 25 points. So the 3 points isn't worth shit. But on day 1, if you're just some nobody who can get in front of everybody and get those two out of them 3 points, you get to wear the polka dot jersey on day 2. And so it's like a novelty. It's just like the guy who won the sprint at finish. He has no chance in hell of winning the Tour de France, but he's wearing the yellow jersey today on day 2 because he won yesterday's race. So that's what a lot of them are fighting over. And it's cash and prizes. You get money for all this shit. So if you wear that polka dot jersey for a day, you're getting like thousands of dollars in prize money because you got the jersey on for a day. Every time you wear the yellow jersey, you're getting paid. You're getting prize money for that. Winning one of the stage races, just winning a stage in the Tour de France is a huge prize money. So it's like, it's 20, what is it? 25, 20, it's 20, 20, it's the 5th to the 27th, so 20 days of cycling with 2 days off. It's 20 individual bicycle races that in and of themselves, if you win just one day in the Tour de France, you're like a cycling legend, let alone winning the Tour de France itself. So like there's cash and prizes every day. You win that green jersey, you are worth millions of dollars in sponsorships, and you're kind of a big deal, even if you don't win the Tour de France. You win that, you wear one of those jerseys for one day, you're making money, you're getting bonuses, you're getting, your career for next year is set. You're going to get a new contract next year. You're one of the top racers in the world. So people are fighting for everything. And so these 2 dudes got away. One of them, up the first climb of the day, he got the point for the King of the Mountains jersey. So him and another dude broke away from the race and started climbing the second hill. And the one dude who wanted that extra point, it's on a cobblestone street, and he went balls to the wall to edge out the other racer to get across the line first, and his wheel caught on a fucking cobblestone, and he just went boom into the pavement, and his bike went right into the guy next to him, and the dude's bike like crashed into the rider next to him, and then he flipped over his fucking handlebars, and these 2 dudes are just laid out in the fucking street. And they were fighting all the way up that mountain. They were elbowing each other, and the one dude was trying to shove the other dude into the fucking guardrails on the side of the road, and they were playing dirty. If you watched that climb going up as they were coming, they were like a kilometer and a half from the line. They were fighting each other, and they were playing dirty. And when that dude threw his bike across the line to get that point, he wasn't purposely trying to crash into the other guy, but it's a cobblestone road, and his wheel caught on one of the stones, and it just went boom! He just fucking flew off his bike, and the other bike, and his bike flew into the other guy's bike and threw him over the handlebars, and these two dudes are just laying in the middle of the fucking road while the rest of the racers come by and just fucking see ya, bitches. But the dude that threw his bike and made himself crash, he's wearing the polka dot jersey today. And it was fucking funny. I was like, yo, you weren't expecting to see that. These two dudes were, in fact, they were getting to the point where if the one guy had thrown the other guy, like, because they were like bumping shoulders, elbowing, they were getting into it. The one dude was trying to force him off the fucking course, crash him into a barrier, or put him in a situation where he can't pass. They could have been, somebody could have been disqualified from the Tour de France just for that shit on day one. Taking it too far. But this is the way it is, man. When the cameras are off, when the race officials aren't anywhere to be found, it can be just as violent as football. Soccer, people think soccer is a pansy sport. Soccer is more violent than fucking football sometimes. You're only wearing pads on your shins. And I've played soccer for years. It's a dirty sport. You can fuck people up pretty bad playing soccer. There's a lot of dirty tricks to play when the ref's not looking. And even when the ref is looking, if you're going for the ball, I've broke people's legs. I've put people out playing soccer, and maybe not on purpose every time, but I was a dirty motherfucker. I didn't care. I'd be playing soccer in the beer league. In fact, one of the soccer leagues that I played in Pittsburgh got banned permanently because the league, everybody was such a dirty little asshole in this league, and it was a co-ed league, and the women are worse than the men, way worse. I mean, I was in prison for 2 years. Women in prison fight more than men in prison. When I was in the Butler County Jail, the couple of the corrections officers that I became friendly with, they would tell me all the time, they're like, oh my God, these fucking bitches, all they do is fight, and it's every day we gotta break up fights. You guys, sometimes when you guys get into a fight, somebody goes away bleeding, and sometimes really bad things happen. But these women, they're fighting every fucking day. Every day we gotta go in there with the pepper spray and blah blah blah. It was like that during that soccer league I played in. The women are grabbing each other's hair, throwing each other on the pavement, and we're playing indoor soccer, so throwing each other onto the courts, pushing each other into the walls, kicking, biting, fuck everything you could possibly imagine. It was a cat fight. Every game was just these fucking women. I even got into a fight with a fat girl. We had, the clock was running down, and we had to score a goal. The game was tied, and I could have scored the game-winning goal, but she went and stuck her foot in the corner of the gym and blocked the ball with her big body so that nobody could get the ball from her, and the game was going to end in a tie. I'm like, get the fuck out of my way, you fat bitch. And I shoved her out of the fucking way and body checked her up against the fucking wall so that one of my teammates could come and get the ball out of the corner of the fucking gym. But then it was like, game over, and we fucking tied. But I was like, I'll punch this bitch in the tit. I don't care. I don't care. I'm dirty. I'm a dirty motherfucker. I would absolutely punch a girl in the tit if in a co-ed soccer league. But I was not the bad guy on the court that day. The girls were so vicious that anything I did was light compared to what the women would do to each other. But I mean, I don't know, like I said, nobody from America has a chance, but I'm rooting for this one guy. This one dude's got this big old mustache and a big long mullet blowing in the wind. He looks like he just got done shooting a fucking Metallica video, and he's got a jersey with the fucking American flag on it and stuff, and he's like that dude in the hurricane down in Florida with the American flag. Da, 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 da. So I'm rooting for him. I want him to win something just for being a fucking badass motherfucker. He don't look like you. He stands right the fuck out when you can see 175 bikers in the peloton. You're like, there's Metallica dude right there. Come on, Metallica guy. I don't even know his name. He's Metallica dude. He's metal dude, metalhead, whatever. I'm gonna come. I'll have a different name for him every day, but I want to see him win something. He'd win all the way to France. He may as well get something out of it. And it's like, cheaters win. I mean, I'll play dirty. If I could cheat to win the Tour de France, fucking sign me up. Tell me where to sign. I got no problem with that shit. Lance Armstrong, for example, he got caught cheating. Looks to me like Lance Armstrong's still a winner. He lives in a fucking mansion on a lake shore in Austin somewhere. He's probably banging all kinds of porn stars and hot chicks, and he's got $50 million in the bank, and he can ride $30,000 bicycles for fun. He can't be in any race. Nobody will let him be in a race ever again, but I mean, he's living his best life. Cheaters win. Look at Joe Biden. He got to be president, or he didn't even know he was president for 4 years, but he got to kind of be president for 4 years, all because cheating. Cheaters win. All this bullshit they tell you when you're a kid about cheaters never win, don't cheat because cheaters never win. Get the fuck out of here. Cheaters win every fucking day. Cheat. All the cheaters are having their comeback tour now. Lance Armstrong and George Hincapie, two of the cheaters on U.S. Postal, have a post-race analysis show now on NBC. After you watch the 5 hours of the Tour de France, you can watch Lance Armstrong and his teammate, who also cheated, give the post-race commentary. He's getting paid. He's getting paid millions of dollars to fucking do cycling commentary now. Oh, but don't cheat. Cheaters never win. He's living in a fucking mansion on a lake shore in Austin, and he's getting paid probably a couple million from NBC to do cycling commentary on TV now. Oh, but cheaters never win. Bullshit. Shut the fuck up. all the dopers that got in trouble did their apology tour or whatever. They got put in timeout, and now they're all coming back. They're all coming back for the Now We Forgive You World Tour. Even Floyd Landis, the guy who lost the Tour de France, like they took his Tour de France win away from him the day after he won it because of his positive drug test. He actually went into like exile and disappeared off the face of the earth because he was so embarrassed about it and whatnot. Now he's coming back. He's doing gravel bike racing now, and he's got a whole he's probably making millions of dollars being famous for cheating in the Tour de France. Cheaters never win. Yeah, bullshit. Bullshit. So I would cheat. I would fuck, man. Give me everything you got. Give me the drugs. Give me hide a motor somewhere in my bike. Here, hook this rope to the bumper of your car and tow me up the fucking mountain. I don't know, can I get some sort of sail like windsurfers have that you hold onto the bar, or you tie it to your fucking bike and you got a sail when the wind is at your back? Oh, I'm going like 60 miles an hour because the wind's blowing me along. Whatever you got. Whatever you got. Give me a stunt double. I'll get off the bike, go chill, have a couple of beers, and then I'll come back and jump back on the bike while my stunt double gets it. Whatever you got for me to cheat with, sign me up. All of it. I'll take the full package. I don't give a fuck. I just want to win. Win at all costs. Fuck, man. I mean, it's probably too late for me to even cheat my way to win the Tour de France because I'm almost 50 years. I'm 49 years old, soon to be 50. So I think that ship has sailed. But, maybe the door is still open for me to change my gender before the race season to become a female. Maybe I can win the women's Tour de France, or maybe I can get the gold medal in the women's Olympics cycling events. Maybe I can do it all: the stage race, the road race, the the track racing, and all the other, women's mountain bike. Maybe I could do the women's mountain bike, the women's road race, and all the track events, and just beat the shit out of all these women on the bike. I mean, that boxer, that fucking dude, he beat the living hell out of those women. Most of them tapped out because they couldn't take getting pounded by this guy. And he got the gold medal in the Olympics, and all the fame and fortune that goes with it is his. So why the fuck not? Why not? And look, if I'm not even good enough to beat the women in the Olympics, I could just identify as a handicapped guy and go take the gold medal in the Special Olympics. Fuck, man, I'll race my bike. I'll fucking go to the Special Olympics and race against all these paralyzed bicyclists, or the cyclist with one leg, or the guy riding on the tricycle, or the hand crank thing that he pedals with his arms, or whatever. Yeah, look out, Danny Chu, I'm coming for you. Anybody who's in Pittsburgh watching this video knows who I'm talking about. Danny Chu. He won the Race Across America a couple of times in his life. He had a goal in his life to bicycle 1 million miles in his lifetime. And he was in like the 800,000s, 850,000 range. This dude would just get on his bicycle one day in Pittsburgh and be like, I'm going to ride to Alaska. And a motherfucker, he wouldn't just go to Alaska to like Anchorage and come back. No, he'd go up to like Prudhoe Bay at the top of the Dalton Highway, and then he'd be like, all right, I guess I can't go any farther. So he'd turn around and come back. That's like a 10,000 mile bicycle ride right there. Just, I felt like going to Alaska. He's most famous in Pittsburgh for organizing the race called the Dirty Dozen, which is an annual race the day after Thanksgiving, where the city of Pittsburgh races up the 13 steepest hills in the city, one of which, Canton Avenue, is one of the steepest hills in the entire world, including San Francisco. It's fucking crazy. There's staircases next to all these roads instead of sidewalks because they're so steep. I met Danny Chu one day at the Cathedral of Learning, which is it's like a 40-story building on the University of Pittsburgh campus, and it's an underground, it's like Pittsburgh's secret stair climb gym. So people from all over the city, on any given day, you're not going to see a ton of people there, but every day you go there, you will see people there who, the stairways are kept open all year long. So you can just go and climb the stairs. And it's like 38 stories from the bottom to the top. And I used to go do this regularly. I might do 4 stair climbs, maybe 5, and then I'm like, all right, I'm good, I'm done. I ran into Danny Chu one day at the Cathedral of Learning, and I'm like, how long have you been here? And he's like, this will be my 75th climb. He's like, yeah, this will be like 76 for the day. Oh, you only, what, you're not going to go for 100? You're not going to climb it 100 times today? What the fuck, dude? But this dude, there's an unofficial website. You can look this up. I mean, I'm giving you enough to search. You can find any of the shit I'm saying. There's a website that keeps track of all the records at the Cathedral of Learning. Fastest climb to the top. Most number of climbs in a day. Most number of climbs in an hour. There's just all these statistics, and that dude pretty much owns all the records for the Cathedral of Learning. But anyway, he was riding his bike out with a bunch of friends one day, and he had an accident. He went over his handlebars, but he never got up. He's paralyzed from the neck down, or he was when it happened, and supposedly he's got enough motion back in his body that he can get on one of them boards. It's like a board that you lay down on and you pedal the thing with your fucking arms, like a hand crank thing, and he's riding around on one of those now. And I guess that took like tons of physical therapy to get to the point where he could do that. But the dude's fucked. He's paralyzed, and he's probably for life, unless they come up with some new medical advanced technology to put the nerves back together or whatever. But now, fuck you, Danny Chu. I'll whoop your ass in a bike race now. Just now I can do it. Maybe not back when I ran into him in the Cathedral of Learning that day and he was on his 75th climb and here I'm like wheezing after 5. Maybe not. But now I'll beat your fucking ass in a bike race. Let's bring it. Bring it. Let's go. Let's see who gets up the Dirty Dozen the fastest. I'll walk up the fucking Dirty Dozen faster than you. So, but now cycling is just lame now. You know, on average, well, at the end of every stage of the Tour de France, the stage winner and the yellow jersey holder, and then like 7 or 8 other random people get picked out to give a urine sample at the end of the day to see if they're cheating. And they have to follow, it's a pretty strict protocol. A chaperone will come and tell them, hey, it's time to go. Time to go do your thing. And so they got to roll their shorts down to their knees and pull their shirt up over their chest so their fucking dong is just hanging out for all to see. And they got to pee into a pot that someone holds in front of them. And while a bunch of fucking doping control people sit there and stare at them and stare at their dick while they're trying to pee, and to make sure that they don't slip in some sort of liquid or cheat or whatever the hell. And I'm just like, all right, fuck, count me out. I can't do that shit. I can't pee when people are like watching me going, come on, man, pee right now, staring at my fucking dick while I'm trying to pee. I can't. It's like, it's too fucked up. It's too fucking weird. My body, I could drink a gallon of water and I can hardly get a drop of pee out when it's like that. When I was in jail, some of the other prisoners were telling me about how when they were on probation, they would have to go in like once or twice a week. And when they walked into the cop's office or whatever, they would have to put their hands on a bar, like a fucking curtain rod going across a doorway and hold on. They'd have to strip down buck naked, grab onto this fucking bar with their arms and spread their legs out like that Leonardo da Vinci drawing where they're just like that. And then somebody puts like one of those claw things that you pick up garbage with on the thing and puts a cup in it. And then they hold the fucking thing down in front of your dong while there's like a couple of dudes just staring at your dick and they're like, all right, pee, do it. Come on, do it. I'd be like, you know what, just fucking put the handcuffs on and take me back to prison because this ain't fucking happening. I'll drink 6 gallons of water right now. And if this is going to be some weird fucking sex cult thing that you're pulling right now, you're not going to get 2 fucking drops out of me. Sorry, it's just not going to fucking happen. Not with all this weird shit going on that you got. Like, you want to give me a fucking cup and give me a little bit of privacy? I mean, go ahead and search me. Go ahead and strip all my fucking clothes off and look up my bunghole if you have to see if I'm hiding anything, and look in my mouth and in my ears and shit, and then let me go pee in peace. Yeah, sure, I'll fill up the cup, but not in that fucking situation. You may as well just take me back to prison. So I can't win the Tour de France. Not now. I wasn't born for this day and age. It's just the thing. It's like, when the Tour de France started in 1903, the number one thing that all the riders talked about, all the different things that the riders talked about doing in order to give them an advantage and to just be able to get through the race, riding these rickety old fucking bicycles 2,000 miles on dirt roads and shit. Beer, wine, cigarettes, cocaine, all these different, they were basically pumped full of whatever fucking drugs they could get their hands on. And that was fine. Nobody gave a fuck about that. These motherfuckers are riding around. You know how you see the Tour de France racers, sometimes they got extra water bottles in the pockets on the back of their jersey and stuff. These dudes would be rolling around with like 4 bottles of wine sticking out the back of their fucking jersey. And they also had to carry extra tires around their shoulders and shit because they weren't allowed to have cars following them with like extra bicycles and wheels and shit like that like they do now. This is like a real race back in the day. And they've been cheating in the Tour de France since the first fucking Tour de France. There was a lot of prize money on the table the very first time they ran this race. And as there always has been, it was a promotion for a newspaper in France to generate sales of the newspaper. And so there was prize money, and it was prestige, and it was a big deal. Even the first time they did it was a big deal. But you weren't allowed to like have people help you. If your bike broke down, you had to fix it yourself. You know, it wasn't like this team car where they give you a new bike and you're on your merry way, or they change your back wheel to a new wheel and you're on your way, and they'll fix you up, and they're bringing you your food, and they're carrying all their shit with you. No, you had to ride. You had to go on your own. Same distance, except the roads weren't as nice as they are these days. The whole thing's just pussified these days. There was, in one of the early Tour de France, a guy broke his forks on the front of his bike, and he carried his bike on his shoulder 13 miles to a blacksmith where he welded his bicycle back together that broke. And then they gave him a penalty because somebody in the blacksmith shop was pushing the fucking bellows for him. And they said, well, you have to fix your own bike on your own. So they were expecting him to weld his own bicycle back together and use the bellows himself. And he came in like 7th place or some shit. But they gave him a penalty because someone helped him at the blacksmith shop while he was welding his own fucking bicycle back together that he just carried 13 miles after it fucking broke. That's a lot like the Crush the Commonwealth race that I've talked about on this channel. The bike races, that was the kind of bike racing I used to do. That was just, I mean, that's very much in the spirit of the original Tour de France. You can't have people carrying your shit. If your bike breaks, you got to fix it yourself. You know, my formula to get across the state of Pennsylvania, the 400 miles, you leave at 4 in the morning on Friday, and whoever gets to the Liberty Bell in Philly and rings the bell first is the winner. And the only way I got through that was pints of beer, a bunch of weed, and ibuprofen, a whole fucking bottle of ibuprofen. And I don't, fuck, man. That's how I did it. That's how I could put up with sitting on my bicycle for 15 hours or 16 hours a day, sleeping for 4 hours and getting back up and doing it again. You think I'm gonna do that drug free? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. And if I could have got testosterone and EPO and whatever other shit that you can get your hands on now, I would have been like, yeah, give me all that shit. And then, you know, having to fix your own bike. One of the years I made a wrong turn. I mean, this is just like the fucking original Tour de France. I made a wrong turn, and I knew I made a wrong turn, but I was gonna cheat. I was gonna, like, you know what, I'll just get on Route 30 here, and eventually the bike race actually does get on Route 30, so when I catch back up to everybody, it'll be like nobody will know I cheated. Well, I couldn't figure out I got lost, and I ended up fucking stranded for the night because it was too late to go I was out in the middle of nowhere on top of a fucking mountain, so I was like, fuck it. I strung up my hammock, I got some food, I put on some music, and I fell asleep. Next morning, I woke up completely covered in snow. All my stuff buried in snow. I had to dig around in the snow for like an hour just to find all my shit and get it all put away and get back on the bicycle, and it was still snowing when I'm riding, and I'm like, fuck, I'm so far behind now that I'll never catch back up to another human being the whole way to Philly. So I'm just gonna turn around and go home. Then my bottom bracket on my bike started flaking out, and I would have been stranded, but somehow it was Sunday, and I found a bicycle shop and replaced my bottom bracket, pulled my crank arms off, bought a new bottom bracket that somehow they had one the right size, put it in, got my bicycle all put together. I was back out on the road within like an hour or two. Then I found a hotel to hold up in for the night that had a jacuzzi suite for $70. Straight up looked like it was out of the 70s, but I had a big old fucking hot tub and I'm just kicking it. And so I still got like a 350-mile ride because it wasn't quite the halfway point, but I almost rode halfway across Pennsylvania on the first day. And if I hadn't made that wrong turn, I would have went past the halfway point on the first day, no problem. That would have been my 200 miles in a day record that I was trying to break. That would have been the day I did it, but I didn't. People cheated in that race back in the day. Back in the day, there was a group of kids who got a team car together, and then they all got on the fucking interstate and rode an interstate highway across the state in order to get to the Liberty Bell faster than everybody else. And then they had all their shit in a car following them. And this is a race that has no prizes. There's no trophy. You get your fucking name on some podunk website that nobody gives any shit about or pays any attention to, and people were cheating to win that race. And like I said, I would have fucking cheated too. Who cares? If I could cheat and beat the shit out of some of these tech weenies that showed up. The guy that won it the one year I was in it, he took a bike out of a dumpster, put $25 worth of parts on it, and rode across the state of Pennsylvania spending $1.60 dumpster diving for food and shit. And he ended up, it was like a tortoise and the hare thing. While everybody else was sleeping, he just decided not to sleep, and he went all the way to Philly, and he ended up fucking beating everybody on a fucking Ross Huffy 10-speed that he pulled out of a dumpster and spent $1.50 to get $1.60, my bad, to get across the state. I mean, these people would cheat in the Tour de France. There were so many different ways to cheat in the Tour de France, man. Man, I can't even, the stories. There was a guy who, aside from the drugs, there was a dude that skipped a stage. He took a train. He hopped on a train that went around the mountains and got off the train and pretended that he rode up and over the fucking mountains. There was a guy that got caught tying a fucking rope to a car and being pulled up and over the mountains. There were so many ways to cheat back then. But like I said, I mean, if I could get my hands on some Lance Armstrong drugs, I'd show up with a fucking e-bike. I wouldn't even hide it for the Crush the Commonwealth race. I'd get a specialized e-bike. It would say e-bike right on the side. I didn't give a fuck. Go ahead, try to beat me. I got an e-bike, an ounce of Kind Bud, a fifth of Jack Daniels, and a big bottle of ibuprofen. And I'm smoking a joint before we fucking leave at 4 in the morning, and I'm ready to rock. Let's do this shit. Bring it! I hate all this modern, safe bullshit in racing in general, like Formula One. They keep making the cars quieter and slower and safer and doing all. It's supposed to be fast and dangerous. That's why we call it racing instead of boring. I mean, they've made racing in general, no matter what kind of racing it is, they've made it more boring than watching golf on TV. I mean, the crowds in the Tour de France, back in the day, I mean, it's still like that today, but back in the day, the crowds, in fact, one of the cheaters back in the early days of the Tour de France, the racers would pay people in the crowd to come out and beat the shit out of the cyclists that they were racing against in order to take them out of the race so that they could fucking win. But even so, even in like the 80s, up until the 80s and late 70s, the crowds on these hill climbs, like in the Alps and stuff like that, there would be so many people crowding in on the road that one time they blocked the road, and Bernard Hinault, it was one of Greg LeMond's teammates, Bernard Hinault, he won the Tour de France a bunch of times. Greg LeMond was brought up through the sport from him. Bernard Hinault got off his bike and punched a bunch of fucking people and pushed them out of the fucking way, punched him in the fucking face, got back up on his bike and was like, get the fuck out of my way or I'll punch you, I'll punch all of you, and took off and fucking got up to the top of the hill first. After the racers got off their bikes to beat the shit out of people that got in their way. Like, you can't fucking pay enough to see some shit like that. I mean, you're never gonna see anything like that today, ever. I mean, there was a guy with a cardboard sign in a recent Tour de France, and he was holding the sign out for the riders to see, and a rider clipped it, went over the handlebars, and like 30 or 40 other people went and crashed, covered the fucking road in bodies and broken bikes. And this guy had to go into hiding because he was like one of the #1 hated people in France. They all wanted to kill him. And he had to hide for a while before he could come back out in public. And everybody was looking for him. They wanted to lynch this guy for causing that crash. There was a guy, you can look this up. There was a guy who fucking waited until the Tour de France riders were riding by on a road, and he fucking jumped his mountain bike over the fucking Tour de France because it got on TV. And so I remember it was one of the ones Lance Armstrong was in. We're watching the fucking Tour de France, and I'm like, holy fuck, did a dude just jumped his fucking mountain bike over the Tour de France and disappeared off into the fucking woods. Like, you don't see this shit. Like, this is why I love this sport. This is why I love this shit. I mean, and the cheating has gotten so bad that even like old people bikers, like, you know, they call a bunch of old washed up. If you ever hear the Masters division, so at a bicycle race there will be the Masters class or the Masters. It's just a nice way of saying an old washed up turd. You're too old to ride with 20-year-old kids and keep up with them, so now you're one of the Masters. Well, these fucking old Masters at the local fucking Weekend Warrior bike races are juicing up. They're juicing up with testosterone and all the Lance Armstrong drugs just so they can win the Weekend Warrior road race here in the fucking woodlands and shit like that, just so that they can get bragging rights when they go to church next week about how they won last weekend's bike race in the woodlands. And, you know, the winner of the Old Douchebag Woodlands Classic probably juiced up on testosterone and shit just to win the fucking Weekend Warrior race. I mean, people are cheating on Strava. There's an app for cycling that I use. It's called Strava. It tracks all my rides. It gives me all the details that I'm sharing with you about my speed and distance and all that kind of stuff. It's a virtual bike race, so there will be segments along your route, beginning to end, and it will calculate every single person that ever rode that stretch and rank you among everybody else. And so there will be stretches. There's a few stretches where I'm in there's one or two where I'm in the top 30 out of like 4,000 people, in the top 30. And if I can just lose one more second, I'll be in the top 10. And if I can lose like 5 seconds, I'll be the king of the hill or the king of the fucking segment or whatever. And then there's other segments where I'm like 1,994th place out of 3,000 people and shit like that. But there's people cheating to get to the top of the fucking leaderboards on Strava. There's no prize for this. You're cheating to win a virtual bike race in an app. There's a segment on my way here from my job where the leader, okay, it's one of these things that's an overpass. There's no hills in Houston, but there's an overpass on my way home that goes up and over a interstate and back down the other side. It's a big arched bridge, and it's kind of steep up and down. There's a guy who holds the record for riding over that bridge at 53 miles an hour. And I'm like, it's a fucking hill. It's an overpass, but it's a long bridge. It's probably more than a mile from beginning to end. Let's say he went 25 miles up to the top. he'd have to go 75 miles an hour down the other side just to have an average speed of 50. I'm kind of like, fudging the numbers a little bit or just kind of dumbing it down, but that's essentially what he'd have to do. And remember, the fucking Tour de France racers, the cream of the crop, the fastest bicyclists in the world, are averaging 31 to 35 miles an hour on flat terrain. And there's not enough distance when you crest over this freaking overpass bridge to be going 75 miles an hour down the other side. Plus, there's a traffic light at the bottom of the thing. You can't be going 75 miles an hour. You wouldn't be able to stop. And there's no way you're going 53 miles an hour up to the top of this thing. Even a professional fucking cyclist wouldn't go that fast to go up. But he's on the top of the leaderboard for this one stretch. Average speed 53 miles an hour. And so I'm like, he's on an e-bike. He's riding an e-bike around town, and he's taking all the records from Strava segments by riding a fucking motorized bike. It'd be like, ooh, that would be like showing up at the Woodlands fucking douchebag classic, riding a fucking motorcycle, and then bragging at the end of the day how you whooped everybody's ass. Just like me showing up to the Special Olympics and bragging about how I beat all those handicapped people's ass at the end of the day. People would want to fucking kill me. People would be trying to hunt me down. People would be like, I'd be getting all them SWAT team prank calls, and it would be crazy the amount of backlash I'd get for showing up to the Special Olympics and taking all the gold medals. I'd get more backlash for that than the guy who went to the Women's Olympics and beat the crap out of all those women to get the gold medal. I would be public enemy number one if I went to and cleaned up at the Special Olympics. But I mean, you got this one guy, who went to the real Olympics, who didn't have any fucking legs. He had those kangaroo stilt things, them little springy things on his, instead of legs. And he was faster than a bunch of people. And then they told him he was cheating. Or like, you need to have real legs. You can't just show up as an amputee and expect to get the gold medal. That's cheating. But you can pretend you're a girl and be a guy, and you can go beat the crap out of a bunch of women and get the gold medal just fine. But you can't show up as an amputee, a double amputee with fake legs, and then, win a sprint race. They're going to say you were cheating because you showed up with these special legs to beat everybody with. Or he must have cut his legs off on purpose. Well, then the guy went and killed his wife or some shit. Now he's in federal prison. He's probably hobbling around in a fucking wheelchair now, because they're not going to give you special carbon fiber springy kangaroo legs when you're in prison. They won't even give you a fucking Advil if you break your leg. So they're definitely not giving you special fucking fancy running legs like he had in the Olympics. That dude's fucked. But anyway, Strava, the e-bikes, they do have some algorithms that'll detect that you're not on a bicycle. Like say you go on a group ride and then you drive home and you forget to turn off Strava. When you log into Strava, it's going to say, we've detected a few problems in your recent ride, and but they give you the tools to cut the part of the ride out that you were driving so that it's just your bike ride, and then they'll accept it, and they'll say, okay, you're good to go now. We just, we noticed that you were going 75 miles an hour down the interstate on your bicycle. You know what I mean? Like they do have ways to weed this shit out. And the e-bikes, I don't know how this guy got on the leaderboard 53 miles an hour going up and over this fucking overpass, because I guarantee you this motherfucker did not go 53 miles an hour over this overpass. I think the next one down was like 30 miles an hour. So, and that's believable. That is believable. 53, fuck no. But anyway, you know how I'm talking about how cheaters always win, right? Cheaters win. It's no problem. I don't have a problem, so I don't really care. I don't care that much about it. Cheat, win. I would cheat my way to the top any fucking day. Any day. I just went to church today. A story about cheaters in the Bible. You ever hear about the walls of Jericho? You know, the Jewish army had to go to battle against this city of Jericho that was fortified with these giant walls. And God was like, just walk around the city for 7 days praising my name. And after the seventh day, the walls came tumbling down. The walls of Jericho collapsed. And the Jewish army was able to go in and steamroll over that whole city. But they didn't see that. But the people in Jericho didn't see that shit coming, did they? So, I mean, you know, if that's what you got to do to win, if God says go dance around town, go dance around the city, get everybody laughing at you, and then he makes the walls come tumbling down so you can go in and take over the town, oh well. Oh well. I mean, you know, if I could just wave my hand and make people fall off their bicycle and flip over the handlebars, I'd be like Darth Vader. I'd be like, you. I'd be the only one who finished the Tour de France. I'd have the polka dot jersey, the green jersey, the white. Well, I'm too old for the white jersey, and I can't lie about my age. But I'd have the yellow jersey. I'd be wearing all three of them at once. I'd have to put on one, then the next, then the next. I'd be going home with all the jerseys. All the flower girls that hand you the bouquet and kiss you on the cheeks, they'd all be coming home with me. There's probably like 25 of those that would be coming home with me. All the stuffed animal lions that the winner gets every day, the trophies, the ribbons, the medals. I'd have my whole chest would be covered in more medals than Mark Phelps, or whatever his name is. And he got caught smoking. He got all them gold medals in swimming. Michael Phelps, my bad, Michael Phelps. Mark Spitz was the other swimmer, I think, and Michael Phelps. He has all them gold medals wrapped around his body. He's probably got more gold around his neck than whatever they have left over in Fort Knox right now. And then they caught him smoking weed, and he was smoking weed all the time, and he ain't have to give back his fucking medals. So don't tell me. And believe me, man, taking a big bong hit before a bike race or a swim event, you're going to be a hell of a lot more mellow. I mean, Shaun White, the snowboarder, come on. They tried to give him shit for being high during the Olympics. Do you think you could find a fucking snowboarder? You think you could find a snowboarder anywhere on the face of the earth that didn't smoke a fucking joint before snowboarding? Do you think that's even possible? Do you think that even exists in the whole, not just the sport of snowboarding, but every fucking mountain where people snowboard in the world? If you've ever been skiing, what do you smell when you go by a group of snowboarders sitting on the side of the fucking mountain? It smells like a dead skunk in the fucking woods. But it's not a dead skunk. We all know what it is. So, no, give me a fucking break. They couldn't take his gold medals away for smoking weed because you wouldn't find a fucking snowboarder on the face of the earth that wasn't high before they got on their fucking snowboard. It wouldn't be possible. So, I don't know. I went to the church. I have 3 churches near me. I went to the church at the end of the road. I looked at all 3 of them online, their websites and whatnot. And I was like, none of them really made me excited. I just went with the one that I'll tell you the reasons why I went with the other one, didn't go to the other ones. But I got exactly today what I thought. It was basically the upscale church of the affluent suburban. Whatever denomination that is, that's kind of what it felt like today. It was just a real nice multi-million. I wouldn't call it a mega church because it wasn't that big. It wasn't like Joel Osteen's church stadium down in Houston. It was smaller than that, but it was like all the professional corporate church stuff. it's not, I don't know, I just don't, those places don't really vibe with me. The upscale, multi-million dollar corporate worship church. I don't know, it's just too much. But the other two churches that are, one's 2 driveways away from me right now. But I went to their website. You're gonna call me a racist. I don't care. Call me whatever the fuck you want. But how do I put this? I would have been the only white guy at church if I went to the one over there. I'd be the only white guy at church. You can call me racist. Number one, the music would be off the fucking hook. You go to black people church, I hate going to church I hate the music part at church, the singing and dancing part. I'm there for the sermon and whatever else, learn about the Bible, learn about God, but I could give a shit about the god-awful Christian music. I hate that stuff. But if you go to black people church, the music's fucking great. You're gonna love the music at black people church. You go to these white people church, and it's just like this bland Ned Flanders, these soulless white people, the whitest of the white people in the suburbs, all just singing this fucking god-awful music. But if you go down to the Podunk Inner Detroit Tabernacle Choir for Sunday service, you're going to get a whole fucking earful of Jesus coming into your ears. So the music would have been off the hook. If you go to a black church, get ready. You're going to hear some good music. They got soul. So it's not a racial thing. Here's the best way for me to put it, because I had an experience like this. I was out on a date with this girl in Pittsburgh. We went out to dinner. She was a volunteer firefighter. I don't know if you remember, I've had lists of jobs that girls can have that I'll be like, nope, I'll just say hell no. Teacher, I'll never date another teacher ever. That's off the table. Criminal justice, anything. Cop, somebody who works in the justice system. Fucking stenographer, works in the courtroom, a lawyer, anything to do with criminal justice, anything at all in that. No politicians, none of that shit. Those are all off the table. And there's a bunch more. I could go. Human resources. If a girl says she's a human resources, whatever, nope. No fucking way. I will not. Second I know that's what you do for a living, it's over. I'm not going out on a date. If I find that out in the middle of the date, I'll have to go to the bathroom and just sneak out. But this girl was a volunteer firefighter. I've dated more than one. I'll take that. If I know a girl's a firefighter, I'll be like, hell yeah. And girls that work in salons, any girl that does hair for a living, we're good right off the bat. That's already going to be a good match. Just the career, and I can probably think, a girl that likes to ride bikes would be a good thumbs up. Go hiking, camping, all that kind of stuff. But the career choice could be a deal breaker, no matter what she likes to do for fun. And I know that there's other careers that I would have a thumbs up for. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. But anyway, just kind of like the vibe. Okay, so I was dating this girl. She was a volunteer firefighter outside of Pittsburgh. And we went on a date. We went out to eat. And we were just it was kind of like a random thing. And we were like, what do we want to do? And she had never been on the Gateway Clipper paddle boat tour around the city on these paddle boats that they have. And I'm like, fuck it, let's go down and take the boat ride. And she was like, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. And so we went down there. And I'm cool with that. That's going to be 4 hours of being on a boat going on a tour of the city. It was a nice, warm summer evening, no rain, good weather. We could just chill on the deck chairs and watch the city go by and just talk and have a good time, and it wouldn't be like loud and obnoxious or whatever. And so we did it. And we get there and we buy our tickets and we're waiting in line, and I look over at her and she looks at me and I'm like, do you happen to notice anything about where we're at right now? Does anything seem a little bit out of place to you right now? And she's like, something does seem a little off. I do notice something that you might also have noticed. And so it turns out we're the only two white people in this big, giant, long line of people waiting to get on this paddle boat. And so we look down at our tickets, and we'd already bought the tickets and everything, and we're looking down at the tickets, and we're like, oh wow, look at that. It's the Wham-O. Now, Wham-O, for those of you who don't know, used to be the R&B and rap radio station in Pittsburgh. And so we're looking at the tickets for and I'm not making this up. You're going to call me a racist piece of shit, but I'm not making this shit up. It said, welcome to the Wham-O all-you-can-eat chicken and ribs dinner cruise with special band, some soul R&B band playing on the boat. So yeah, we didn't know. We just went up to the ticket window. We're like, yeah, we want 2 tickets. When's the boat leave? They're like, about half an hour. We're like, good, sweet, we made it on time. And then we're looking around and we're like, hey, why are we the only white people here? We couldn't figure it out. We had to look at the ticket and see, oh my God. And so like now the only thing that we're upset about is we just went out to fucking dinner. And I'm like, all you can eat chicken and ribs? What the fuck? Why don't we just come here? Why don't we just come here off the rip? Why did we just go down and have dinner, and now we've got an all-you-can-eat chicken and ribs cruise in front of us? We're going to be on this boat for 4 hours, all the chicken and ribs we can eat. And I'm not the least bit hungry. How about you? No, not me either. And so, but yeah, I mean, yeah, we had a good time on the boat. I mean, we were a novelty. Like, people were pointing and talking and coming up and saying, what are you two honkies doing over here on this boat? And, they were all having a good time. And it was a fun ride. The band was good. The cruise was awesome. I mean, it was a good night. We were the only 2 white people out of about 150 to 200 people on this boat. And yes, it was the all-you-can-eat fried chicken and ribs dinner cruise. They had a whole fucking buffet of chicken and ribs and collard greens, all of it. The whole thing. Yeah, all the shit out of the racist black people cookbook was on the fucking table. All you can eat. I didn't eat a single fucking rib. I was so upset because I'm like, look at this. Look at this. We paid for this and we can't even eat because there was no like, neither one of us were hungry. I don't know where we went to eat. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, and do I feel like I'd go to the church next door, the black people church, and when I get there, they're going to be like, hold up, what you doing here, white honky devil? Be gone, white honky devil. What you doing over here? What you doing over here, white honky devil? Get out of here. Oh, what's this white honky devil doing over here? Oh, would you misplace your slaves, white honky devil? You ain't gonna find them over here, white honky devil. Be gone, be gone. Cast them out. Cast them out. No, I don't think that's what's going to happen when I go to the black people church next door. We're all brothers and sisters in Christ. It don't matter what color you are. All I'm saying is if I go to the church next door, I'm going to feel like white honky devil just walked in the door when everybody in the whole room looks at me and goes, what's this? And I'm going to feel just like I felt when me and my date were waiting in line to get on the Wham-O all-you-can-eat chicken and ribs dinner cruise on the fucking Gateway Clipper boat in Pittsburgh. That's all I'm saying. It's not like I'm actually thinking about going over there and checking it out one of these days because the corporate white church down the street was kind of bland and boring, and the sermon wasn't that great, and it was just kind of eh. And in fact, when I got done with the sermon, I walked over to the grocery store and got a rotisserie chicken and came home and ate a big bowl of chicken. So I like chicken too. So whatever, man. All I'm saying is black people church, I'm expecting if I went next door to the black church, it'd be off the hook. They probably got a good choir, harmony. They probably got some soul. They got some good beats. They're probably going to be, the pastor's probably on fire. Like, I might enjoy it more than white bread, corporate, suburban affluent church. In the parking lot down there, it was like Mercedes, BMW, another Mercedes, a Tesla, a Mercedes SUV, Escalade, and just like all these rich people cars. And I'm just like, yeah. I'm surprised when they passed the donation plate around, it didn't have a thing to tap your credit card. Like, oh, just tap here. Like one of those little square credit card readers or whatever the fuck. I'm surprised it didn't have that. And then there's another church the other way, I'm talking like a quarter mile down the road, and it's one of these Seventh-day Adventist churches. And look, I don't know, I don't even know what that means. I think all these denominations are stupid. I don't want to know what they are. I don't want to know what the differences are. I believe in Jesus. I'm a Christian. I read the Bible. I don't give a fuck about any of this other stuff that people want to fight about, and like, your Jesus is better than my Jesus, or my Jesus is better than your Jesus, or whatever. Like, all that stuff is stupid. Jesus didn't call his disciples together and say, okay, I want you to count off by fours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, all you number ones, you go over there, you're the Catholics. Number 2, you go over there, you're the Baptists. Number ones, you go over there, you're the Catholics. All of your music's gonna sound like the Damien movies, and they're going to be used in horror movies, and it's going to make people feel very uncomfortable. All you twos, you go over there, you're going to have soul, you're going to have a loud choir full of black women with beautiful voices, and you're going to have fire, and you're going to be preaching at the top of your lungs and dancing around with an organ going every time you say something important. Can I get a hallelujah? Or whatever they do. Anyway, he didn't tell people to go start 10 different fucking churches. So I don't get it. I don't care. You can tell me what the differences are in the comments. I'm still not going to give a shit or even look at it. The only thing I know about the Seventh-day Adventist Church is when I was in prison in Danbury, Connecticut, we had all these different Bible studies to go to. And there was one Bible study that was run by the Seventh-day Adventists. I guess there was enough of those in prison to have their own special Bible study. And so whenever I went there, I started calling it Friday Night Bible Fight. Because every Friday night from 7 to 8, this Bible study would just turn into an argument. These 3 people arguing with these people about how much Jesus loves you and whether you're going to hell or not. And like, it was just this crazy fucking argument, and all these people would do is argue for an hour, and I would just sit there and watch. And every time I'd be like, I'd try to say something, I'd get like 2 words out of my mouth, and someone would just cut me off and go on their merry way, and then that person would talk, and then this person, and they would just argue, and I would be like, what about, and then cut him off. You don't let him talk, because anytime I ever would get a word in edgewise, I would try and point out to people that either you're both wrong or you're both right, and you're just arguing for no reason. And it was just stupid. I called it Friday Night Bible Fight. And that's all I really know about the Seventh-day Adventists. Now, one of these guys, they were arguing about whether, because Jesus forgives you of all of your sins, and if you believe in the Son, then you are forgiven of your sins, and he is the way, the truth, and the light. No one gets in to see the Father but through him. Okay, all you have to do is believe in Jesus and repent of your sin. But then there's this whole thing that says, but if you continue to sin, you're not going to heaven, you're going to go to hell. And they would just go back and, but you're forgiven, but you're going to hell, but you're forgiven, but you're going to hell. And they just fucking argue about this. I was there for 4 months. Every Friday night, they'd get together and argue for an hour about the same fucking thing every week. And this one dude, remember, I'm in federal prison. And this one dude sits there and he goes, well, he's like, yeah, if you do continue to sin, you won't be forgiven anymore. And he goes, I haven't sinned for 8 years. And I'm just, that's the move I'm at. I mean, you could hear my chair go across the floor. I'm like, what? I haven't sinned. I'm like, how long have you been in federal prison? Because I didn't know how long he'd been. You haven't sinned for 8 years. Yet you're sitting here with me in federal prison. And chances are, I'm not, I don't know what he did, but I'm like, there's at least a 50% chance if you're in this prison, you did something to a little kid. Or you looked at pictures of little kids that you weren't supposed to look at. Or you had a collection of pictures of little kids that you weren't supposed to have. That was probably the 50 or 60% chance. If you're in that prison, that's what you did. And I'm like, you haven't sinned for 8 years. Wow. I need to get some handy tips from you. Wow, that's awesome, dude. And so, like, there were a handful of us there that witnessed this guy say this. And we all, and so from now on, of course, anytime I'm hanging out with these people, I'm like, well, I haven't sinned for 8 years. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, man. How do you not sin for 8 years? I mean, maybe out in the world, let's just say I'm out in the woodlands. You got these girls walking around town. I'm going to call it what it is. They're wearing vagina pants. They're wearing fucking yoga pants where they're just like, hey, what do you think about this vagina I'm walking around with today? I just wanted you all to see it. Let me know what you think. And, your clitoris is a little bit, it's a good size. I can see it pretty well. And, all the rest of the parts. I mean, women are walking, I don't even know, how do you make pants that conform like somebody wrapped the bottom half of your body in one of those what do you call them, the shrink wrap things for the food that pump the air out, and so the fucking thing just wraps around. And like how do they even make pants that make it so you can see a woman's whole vagina and all the intricate little details down there, but she's still wearing pants? Like, that's a marvel of modern day technology that rivals ChatGPT and all these AI bots. How they fucking pulled that off, I don't know. And so, but when I see something like that, guess what? Oh, I guess I got to start from ground zero with the whole sin thing, because it says even the thoughts in your head can be sinful. I don't have to go up and do something to this girl because she's walking around with her vagina hanging out of her pants. But if I see that when I'm out, I'm just trying to mind my own fucking business. I just went to Target to get some fucking groceries, and oh wow, this girl showed me her vagina. For no fucking reason, wow, look at that. Look at that one. That's pretty cool. And there you go. Boom. Back to ground zero. It's like, that sign on the side of the highway, number of days without a fatal accident, and it gets reset back to zero because someone just died yesterday. That's what it's like in my fucking brain. The little billboard that says number of days I've gone without sinning, someone has to take the fucking card off and set it back to zero because some girl just showed me her vagina in the middle of Target today. So, but you're going to tell me you went 8 years without a sin? Give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break. That's bullshit. And so, church today, the music. Oh, I had to time it today to see like what I'm going to be in for if I make this church my home. And so church starts at 11:30 and it's 12:20, and the fucking the corporate white Christian soulless NPC music band, the bland band, the blandest fucking band in the history of Christian music, is still, we love Jesus, we love Jesus. And it's like, come on, just wrap this shit up. Here's, I can't stand it. You can call me whatever the hell you want to call me, but I cannot stand this garbage Christian music. I hate it. Hate it. It's like Christian rock and all these Christian this and Christian that. It's basically you have a musician or a band that has no talent, and so they can't be a rock band and get anybody to come watch them. But they throw in a bunch of words about Jesus. Well, now we can be a Jesus rock band, and we get all that Jesus money coming through the door. Now we're a Christian rock band, and everybody loves us, and we fill churches across the country when we go on tour, and blah, blah, blah. All because we put the Psalms, we put some Psalms in a bad song, and now, oh boy, everybody loves this song. It's the fucking worst. It's horrible. The only two churches I've ever gone to where the music was good was Allegheny Center Alliance Church in Pittsburgh, which is probably the most wide variety of people in a congregation you'll ever see in a church. That's exactly what my mom said the first time she went to church with me there. She was like, oh my God, you got black people and white people and Chinese people and Mexican people, and I'm sure there were like lizard people that had left the Illuminati and became Christians, but they're still wearing their human skin so they don't scare the kids at Sunday school or whatever. But they had everybody. They had all the people in one room. And the band and the music, they changed it up all the time. It was never the same music, but they had a choir. And there was enough old black ladies in the club choir to give it that sound, the old, the Ghetto of Detroit Tabernacle Choir, that specific, you know what I'm talking about. That's all I have to say. You're picturing it, you're listening to it in your head right now as I'm telling you this. But they had all kinds of good music there. Good music. Like, I actually enjoyed the music at that church. I'm not one to get up and sing and put my hands up in the air and all that kind of crap, but I enjoyed the music quite a bit there. And I went to a couple of black churches here and there in my journey of going to different churches, and the music was off the chain. The music at prison, the music in the prison church in Danbury was good. And it was mostly black dudes. Just telling you, there's a reason why I think if I go to the church next door, the music's going to be the best of the three. So anyway, they start singing this one song. They're like, have you heard the story of the Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? And I'm like, come the fuck on. The Beastie Boys did a way better version of this song. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Yeah, I'd rather listen to the Beastie Boys rendition of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over this fucking watered down white person Christian soulless garbage today. Oh, in fact, I think I'm gonna play some of that later, man. But I got like 4 hours left on the Tour de France, and who knows what else I'm gonna do today. Probably a whole lot of not much, because I gotta go on the bike ride in the bakery again tomorrow, so I'm trying to relax a little bit. But I'm just saying, if I go to church, if I go to heaven, and this is what the music is gonna be like, first of all, I'm gonna be like, can you put me in black people heaven where the music's better? I mean, can you just, I don't want to go to corporate white people Christian heaven. If that's what I'm gonna have to listen to all day, is that shit that they play in these corporate white people churches. For eternity is a long fucking time. And if that's the music that I'm going to have to listen to all day, I'm like 3 days in, I'm going to be ready to, my ears are going to be bleeding after like 3 days. They say there's no blood and tears in heaven. My ears are going to have blood coming down the sides if that's what the music selection is when we get there. And I'm going to be like, can I go to black people church? Can I go to black people heaven instead, at least so I can listen to the choir, so I can listen to some good beats. So, what's that dude's name? I can't even remember his name. I mean, it's going to show right up. Of course it doesn't. Come on. What's the guy? The famous black dude. Kirk Franklin. I want to go listen to Kirk Franklin and the Tabernacle Choir. Do I have to sit here and listen to this corporate white people music in heaven? No. Come on, man. Put it this way. If I can't listen to Led Zeppelin playing Stairway to Heaven at least once, I might just ask for a pass to go to hell, because I want to hear. If I can't listen to Stairway to Heaven, I may as well go downstairs and listen to Highway to Hell, where all the good rock bands are down in hell. You know what I'm saying? If I can't listen to Stairway to Heaven, put me on the Highway to Hell so I can hear some good music. I can hear some Thunderstruck, I can hear Highway to Hell. We got Big Balls, Hell's Bells, all of the good stuff. All the good stuff's going to be down below. Hopefully not, but if that's where all the good musicians have to go because they sold their soul to Satan to be able to make good music, what the fuck music is waiting for us when we get up to heaven? Is it going to... I'm worried about that. Is the music going to be terrible? Like, am I just going to... Would I rather just live eternity in silence so I don't have to listen to this nonsense? Because I cannot stand this corporate Christian music. I hate it. Hate it. It's like nails on the chalkboard. But I'll go there and I'll get it. I'll listen to it. I'll go to church. I'm there to hear the sermon at this point. And the sermon was kind of It didn't do it for me. And I'm not saying I would never go back to this church. It didn't seem like a bad place. It didn't seem like it was bad people. But it was just weird, like suburban white people having fun, like family fun day. It's not fun. Suburban white people on family fun day are about as exciting as watching paint dry. So no, it's not my thing. Sorry. That part of it was like a Jesus rave. They had a bunch of like young kids get up on a stage and they've got this new genre of DJ and house music, but it's Christian dance music now. So it's all the like you're going to see Paul Oakenfold or Carl Cox spin at a fucking rave, but then they ruin it by throwing in the Jesus phrases, and like they turn it into this watered down, like boring ass song. And it's like nobody wants to go to a rave and hear music that has too many words in it. Okay, it's the beats, it's the blending, it's the beat matching, it's when the DJ mixes one song into another and you don't know where one song stopped and the next one begins. Look up Carl Cox, Boris Brejcha, Paul Oakenfold, DJ Dan, and Tiesto, and I could just go on and on and on. Daft Punk, pretty famous dance music band. In fact, if you want to know how many words you should put in a DJ mix, look up the lyrics, go to Google. I'm doing it right now, too, because I can't remember. So go to Google and go to Google and actually do this and see it for yourself. The lyrics to Daft Punk's song Around the World, it's one of the songs that made them big. And the lyrics, it's hard to remember all of them, but the lyrics go something like this. Around the world, 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 around the world. And okay, you get the idea, and it repeats about 200 more times until you get to the end of the song. So, I mean, okay, you could be a Christian dance artist. You could say around the word, around the word, around the word, around the word. You don't have to go and do this whole complicated thing where you're trying to put like 6 Bible passages in a song and make it rhyme when it doesn't even go together or rhyme or has no beat or rhythm or soul. But they just cram, they're like, okay, let's get a good beat that by itself would be something I would spin back when I was a rave DJ. I'd be like, oh, that's a good beat. I like that. Oh, until you mixed like Psalm 72, the whole fucking thing, and nobody's gonna nobody's gonna be out on the dance floor now because you ruined it. Like you can say things that are Christian things, but go listen to some fucking dance music and see how many words there aren't in it. Every now and then there'll be a remix of a famous song or something like that, and then it's like, you know, a Michael Jackson song, a Madonna song, Janet Jackson, or, you know, Devo, or an 80s tune, or Come On Eileen, or, you know, there could be a techno remix of Sweet Caroline, ba ba ba, right? But people will go for that, but you can't even start out your set with that if you're a rave DJ. That's like the song that you drop after like half an hour of repetitive beats where you've mixed like 6 tracks together and nobody even knows where they stopped and started, and then all of a sudden like, wait a minute, Sweet Caroline, you know what I mean? Like people would go nuts for that shit out on the dance floor if you bring it in at the right time and you don't overdo it. You just gotta drop little things. There's an art form to this shit. But the Christians, they fucked it up. And so I couldn't even listen to Jesus rave music today I'm like, oh, they fucking ruined it. Too many, you just put like the whole book of Acts in a rave track and tried to make it sound cool. It's not. And I have nothing against the books of the Bible. You don't put the whole fucking you don't put the whole book of Matthew in a rave track and keep people out on the dance floor. If you want people to believe, sprinkle it in, make them think. Do it on the subliminal. Trick them into believing in Jesus by putting in a subliminal message in there or something like that. You don't gotta just like pour it on so thick. I don't know, man. Like, people keep telling me, oh, you should be a stand-up comedian, but I don't know. I don't think I would be a good stand-up comedian at all. I don't know. I think I'd probably freeze up if I'm standing. Like, somebody will start heckling me, and I'll become a total dick that's not even funny at this point. And like, I don't know. There's just a million. I'm just probably not a good stand-up comedian. But maybe I could be a Christian stand-up comedian. Could you imagine that? I'm not a good comedian, but I could be a Christian stand-up comedian. Could you even imagine me going on the church circuit doing stand-up comedy? Maybe I could become the Andrew Dice Clay of church comedy. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know, man. All I know is that I was sitting in church today, and the thing was I kept looking at my clock because I just wasn't into it. A couple of times, there were a couple of small messages and some things that hit home. It wasn't like, I didn't feel like it was a waste of me going there at all. And when I got that rotisserie chicken from the grocery store across the road, I was like, booyah. I could smell that thing the whole way home as I'm walking home, and I was just dying. I'm like, oh my God. And it was the best, it was one of the best rotisserie chickens I've ever had. I'm telling you, and I've had a lot. And it was $5. We're back down to the we can get the $5 rotisserie chickens again. That Joe Biden took that shit away. The $5 rotisserie chicken became the $10 rotisserie chicken. And now we're back. The $5 chicken's back. At least I stopped seeing the $5 rotisserie chicken when Joe Biden took over. That was the $10 rotisserie chicken. And but I just got a $5 rotisserie chicken, brought that thing home, and I'm not gonna lie, I ate the whole thing because it was so freaking good. Oh, it was so good. It was like the best rotisserie chicken. I'm telling you, it was from Walmart. Whatever they seasoned, it was a lemon pepper rotisserie chicken, $5. It was actually like $4.75, but probably have tax on it or whatever. But at $5 chicken, I'm telling you, that was the bomb. That was like, anytime I'm riding my bike home from work and I'm feeling like I'm hungry and I'm gonna devour something bad for me, stop and get a chicken so that all I'm eating is chicken meat. Like that probably, eating all that protein's probably not as bad for me as some of the other stuff I've eaten lately. That's for sure. That's for sure. And it's probably the only thing I'm going to eat today. And when you consider all the bones and everything else, and it wasn't a Cornish game hen, but it wasn't like a huge chicken. But for $5, that thing was great. But I was sitting back in the wallflower section at church today, like the back row. And so back with all the other people that wanted to be in it, but not be all up in it. Like, praise, and all that, and like getting into the music and singing and, yes, Jesus. I'm just sitting back and like, all right, just chilling. I'm not, I don't want to get up in there. Everybody knows that you don't sit at the front row at the comedy club, and same thing goes for church. Don't sit in the front row. Unless you know people there. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's so many other things I could talk about. The only other thing at church was this guy sitting next to me. It was crowded. The whole place was packed. There were a lot of people there. And this one guy sitting next to me had some serious dragon breath. Like dragon breath that whenever he would be like, hey, amen, I would be like saying, oh, God. And I'd be leaning over like this. And I'd look and there would be like 3 or 4 people all leaning away from this guy, like putting their hands over their nose and shit. And I'm like, yo. There was a couple of times I had my eyes closed listening to the prayers. And I thought I somehow slipped into the portal to hell because all I could smell was sulfur. And I swear, I'm like, oh my God, am I by the lake of fire? Oh, it's just this guy with the bad breath. I don't know, man, but definitely, we're an hour and 47 minutes into this video. I wasn't expecting to talk this long, but I guess this is how it came out. So, I'm gonna go chill, watch the Tour de France. You can see I got a few dishes to wash. I'm just gonna chill. I'm really not. I got some macadamia nuts if I get hungry again. I basically stopped at the grocery store and picked up some healthy things to eat and snack on throughout the week, because that's what I was running low on. And money's really, really low, and but I got money on the way. So by the end of the week, it'll be kind of the opposite. I'll be on the way, I would say sometime Friday, sometime by the end of the week, I'll be on my way back to being able to start building a bank account again, because the rent's paid. The check hasn't cleared, but the money to clear it is still, like, no surprise transactions to where my check's gonna bounce or anything like that. I'm gonna try to start using Zelle to pay my landlord. I've never used it before. I don't trust some of these banking apps, but it might be nice to be able to pay my landlord and know that he got the money like that, instead of like writing him a check and then waiting 6 days until it comes out of my account. Just peace of mind kind of a thing. I know some of you probably have enough money that that's not something you worry about. I mean, I know I was there at one point where, I wasn't like living large, but I knew I could write my rent check and not have to check my account every day to make sure the money was there, like I am right now. But this wouldn't be the first time in my life I've been this tight. So moving sucks. Moving is expensive. Moving is really expensive when you have to do it 5 times in a fucking year, and you're just struggling to survive because you went to federal prison for mean tweets. But I'm just going to leave it at that today. There were more things on my list to talk about, believe it or not, but an hour and 50 minutes is a long time. So if you made it this far, cool. I'll give you the thumbs up this time, but if you want, give me the thumbs up down there. Keep this channel rolling, and we'll talk again. Peace out.